for decades, moving like $100 million from New York to Singapore has relied on the exact same clunky, fragmented correspondent banking system.
Right. It is a completely sequential hop and hope model.
Exactly. But what happens when you replace that with an instant programmable ledger? Welcome to this custom-tailored deep dive, where your mission today is to decode a strategic analysis document on Project Agora.
And it is a fascinating document.
It really is. Okay, let's unpack this, because to understand why our global financial plumbing needs this massive upgrade, we have to look at the flaw in how cross-border payments actually settle today.
Yeah, the core issue is sequential processing. I mean, the information about a payment, so your compliance and anti-money laundering checks, that travels entirely separately from the actual money.
Usually via Swift messages, right?
Right, exactly. So a payment just stalls while different banks in the correspondent network manually process their respective ledgers.
It is honestly like trying to play a precarious game of telephone combined with a relay race.
Yeah, that is a pretty good way to put it.
Right, and if just one runner trips, everything halts. And to compensate for those delays, to make these hops work, banks are forced to park massive amounts of cash in these pre-funded Nostro and Vostro accounts globally.
We are talking about trillions of dollars in idle capital here. It is just trapped in a holding pattern to facilitate potential transactions.
Which is incredibly capital inefficient.
Completely. Central banks realized they couldn't just speed up Swift messages anymore. They had to merge the messaging and the money into a single event.
And that brings us to Project Agora. It was built by the Bank for International Settlements, along with 7 central banks, including the New York Fed and the Bank of England.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is the shift to what they call atomic synchronicity on a unified ledger. They are binding the messaging, the clearing, and the actual settlement into a single all-or-nothing cryptographic event.
And that happens in milliseconds, right?
Exactly. Either the entire trade clears instantly or it instantly reverts. Because they use smart contracts, a payment can be programmed to release the exact microsecond a digital bill of lading is verified, for example.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting, because I have to push back on the reality of instantaneous 24/7 settlement.
Oh, sure.
Doesn't that completely destroy the float? Like if a massive volume spike hits at 3 in the morning and human operators are asleep, wouldn't you instantly run into severe liquidity crunches?
Well, you would, yeah, if humans were still managing the rebalancing.
Wait, so who is?
That jurisdictional mismatch across time zones, that is the operational speed limit of the system. So to bypass it, Agora relies on agentic AI. Autonomous agents actually take the wheel here.
Wait, really? So they are handing over the keys to autonomous agents to sweep liquidity in the middle of the night?
Yeah, they are.
That sounds incredibly risky. I mean, how does an AI intervene in an all-or-nothing cryptographic event without just breaking the chain?
It does it by operating in the microseconds before the settlement sequence finalizes.
Oh, wow.
Take predictive liquidity sweeping. The AI analyzes historical flow data and autonomously moves funds onto the unified ledger 30 minutes before a predicted volume spike even happens.
Oh, I see. And then there is agentic FX hedging too, right?
Yeah.
Where these agents offset currency risks instantly as a tokenized payment moves from, say, US dollars to Singapore dollars.
Exactly. They handle all that intraday volatility.
The documents also mention dynamic compliance repair. So if an ISO 22022 message has a data field error, the AI agent uses that microsecond window to parse historical ledger data.
Right. It identifies the missing compliance variable.
Yeah, and injects it into the smart contract so the atomic transaction doesn't just instantly fail.
Yep. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the strategic takeaway for venture capitalists and tech firms becomes very clear.
The revenue isn't in building the ledger.
Exactly. Project Agora is just the highway. The real value is in building the agentic AI, the autonomous traffic control that makes navigating that highway at light speed safely possible.
Right. So what does this all mean? Well, it means the era of trapped global capital is ending.
It permanently ends that sequential hop and hope model.
It really does. And you, the listener, should care about this, because freeing up trillions of dollars in the global economy directly impacts the speed, the cost, and just the fundamental efficiency of all global commerce.
It is a massive, invisible plumbing upgrade.
It is. But it does leave you with one pretty wild thought to mull over, though.
Oh, what's that?
Well, if autonomous AI agents are constantly predicting and sweeping millions of dollars across borders in milliseconds to prevent liquidity crunches, What happens during a sudden global financial panic?
That is a very good question.
Right. When every bank's AI suddenly tries to outpredict and outmaneuver the others, does our perfect instant ledger just create a much faster, much smarter black box?